As they said, they was gonna start releasing them, the hostages. They did. Trump. Wait, what am I going over? Trump in Israel. Historic speech. I haven't heard it yet, so this is gonna be the first time we look at it. We're gonna watch it together, guys. Trump is in Israel. Right now, he is on his way to Egypt to meet other world leaders about this historic event. They are releasing the people, guys. Everything is going according to plan. Hamas is releasing the prisoners, or have. So everything is going to plan right now. Phase 1 is going according to plan. Now, the second phase, phase 2, which is them disarming all the weapons. That's phase 2. And everything it looks beautiful. Everybody's happy. BB's happy. Trump happy. I'm happy. You know, everything's going according to plan. Good morning, good morning. It's a great day. Monday morning, Monday. Even though we had a hit on the stock market on Friday, guess what? Like always, it recovered. It's recovering, right? Well, what happened, Stock Sniper? Why did the stock market pull back on Friday? Well, it pulled back because Trump said, look, China, you know, I can't really deal with China. We're going to put more tariffs on them, 100%, matter of fact. And guess what? For the first, that might or might not happen. But either way it go, man, China is somebody we really can't deal with at this particular point. There's no reason to even meet with them. 100% tariffs on November 1st. So, and that's the reason why it pulled back. Market didn't like that. But it is recovering as we speak. Let's see. I think that was the big pullback. Yeah, this is the big pullback after he said that on Friday. And it's already starting to recover. Let me put a seat on the 5 minutes. Yeah, it's already starting to recover. That's Friday, I believe. Yeah, that's Friday. Boom, that big pullback. And now Monday morning, before the market opened, it is starting to recover. On NVIDIA, we came back. Look at that great bounce off 179. Wow, perfect. See, that's why it's good to understand support and resistance. Right off my support line of 179. Man, that was perfect. So we're going to go over here and check out this speech by Trump in Israel. Appreciate y'all for joining me. Let's go.
After 2 harrowing years in darkness and captivity, 20 courageous hostages are returning to the glorious embrace of their families, and it is glorious. 28 more precious loved ones are coming home at last to rest in this sacred soil for all of time. And after so many years of unceasing war and endless danger, today the skies are calm, the guns are silent, the sirens are still, and the sun rises on a holy land that is finally at peace, a land and a region that will live, God willing, in peace for all eternity. This is not only the end of a war, this is the end of an age of terror and death and the beginning of the age of faith and hope and of God. It's the start of a grand concord and lasting harmony for Israel and all the nations of what will soon be a truly magnificent region. I believe that so strongly. This is the historic dawn of
Hello, Derek.
A new Middle East. I want to express my gratitude to a man of exceptional courage and patriotism, whose partnership did so much to make
Yes,
this
they're doing it
momentous
as we
day
speak.
possible.
Cody.
You know who I'm talking about. There's only one, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Bibi, please stand
Hey,
up.
what's up, Yaya? How you doing?
And he is not easy, I want to tell you. He's not the easiest guy to deal with, but that's what makes him great. That's what makes him great. Tremendous appreciation for all of the nations of the Arab and Muslim world that came together to press Hamas to set the hostages free and to send them home. We had a lot of help. We had a lot of help from a lot of people that you wouldn't
Hey, what's
suspect.
up, Jonathan Davis?
And I
How
want
you
to thank
doing
them
this
very
morning
much
on
for
this
that.
Good Money Monday?
It's an incredible
Great
triumph for
Money
Israel
Monday.
and the world to have all of these nations working together as partners in peace. And it's pretty unusual for you to see that, but it happened in this case. This was a very unusual.
I appreciate everybody for joining this Money Monday. Hostages released. Trump is in Israel right now speaking. So let's watch this. I'm finna shut up now so we can pay attention to what's really going on. Appreciate y'all for joining me. We got 51 people in the building. Please hit the like button so we can get more people in here to see what Trump did today in Israel, what he said as well.
Usual point in time, a brilliant point in time. Generations from now, this will be remembered as the moment that everything began to change, and change very much for the better. Like the USA right now, it will be the golden age of Israel and the golden age of the Middle East. It's going to work together. I'd like to thank several great American patriots for their invaluable help in getting something done that almost everyone thought was absolutely impossible. We were wasting our time. So many people said, "You're just wasting your time." But we weren't, because we had talented people working with us, and we had people that love your country, and frankly, people that love the region. They love the Middle East. I want to thank my friend Steve Witkoff. Henry is a big leaker. He leaked. Steve doesn't leak. Steve just wants to get the job done. He wants to do what's right. But I'll give you just a quick story, because as you know, he's working on the war with Russia and Ukraine, a war that would have never happened if I were president. A shame. 7,000 young soldiers a week are being killed. More than that this last week. It's a shame. It should have never happened. But it did happen, and we won the race, and I took over this horrible war that's been raging, and I thought it would be easily settled. I thought it was a hell of a lot easier than doing what we just did very successfully with Israel and a lot of other people. But this came first, and we'll get that one. But I set up a meeting for him to meet with President Putin, thinking it would be a 15 or a 20-minute meeting. Steve had no idea about Russia, had no idea about Putin too much, didn't know too much about politics, wasn't that interested. He was really good at real estate, but he had that quality that I was looking for, and I didn't see it around in too many ways. And I set up the meeting with Putin, and I called. I said, is Steve finished yet? That was about a half an hour into the meeting. No, sir, he's not. He's still inside. This is in Moscow. I said, well, how's he doing? I don't know, sir. He's still inside. I called up an hour later. Let me speak to Steve. Sir, he's still with Putin. He's with President Putin. I said, wow, that's a long meeting, 1 hour. I called up an hour later, he was still with Putin. 3 hours later, he was still with Putin. 4 hours later, he started to get the word that he was going. If they're not, we have a big story, right? No, they have a great marriage, and they get along great. They're best friends. They have a very special relationship. But Jared has been so helpful. He really did something very special. He established the Abraham Accords with a group of very wonderful people. I like calling it the Avraham Accords, because people that, right? Avraham. It's so cool. It's so much sort of nicer, you know? The Abraham versus the Avraham. I just don't want to sound too sanctimonious when I do it, so, you know, I sort of split it up. This way we keep everybody happy. But we have some very great talent, and they have no excuses for anything that's taken place, because we had some unbelievably good people working on this. And then you're going to add a man named Marco Rubio, who is also here. That's right. And I have a prediction that Marco will go down, I mean this, as the greatest Secretary of State in the history of the United States. I believe that. I believe it. And he and I, you know, we really fought it out. You remember, he was tough. He was nasty. Who the hell thought this was going to happen, Marco, right? And now I'm saying he's going to go down as the greatest. He will. He was always smart and sharp, and people respect him. And then we have somebody who's young, but an unbelievable leader. I saw it a long time ago, and he's turned out to be even better than we thought. Right, Susie? I think even better. And that's Pete Hegseth, who is our Secretary of War, formerly Secretary of Defense. And as you know, we decisively won World War I. We decisively won World War II decisively. And everything in between and everything before it, we won everything. And then they had the brilliant idea of changing the name from war, you know, it was war, to defense. And with that went a certain thinking. And we fought in a very politically correct way after that. We always had the strongest military, and now we have a stronger military than we've ever had before. Because of my first term, I've totally rebuilt the military, every aspect of it. But we have, if you think, we settled 8 wars in 8 months. I'm now including this one, by the way, if that's okay. They may say, well, that was quick, because yesterday I was saying 7, but now I can say 8. The hostages are back. The hostages are back.
Hostages are back. They're being released.
It is a good feeling. Isn't that nice to say? You know, I just said the hostage. First time I said the hostages are back. It feels so good to say it. But when you settle 8 wars in 8 months, that means you don't like war. Everyone thought I was going to be brutal. In fact, I remember Hillary Clinton during a debate, she said, look at him, he's going to go to war with everybody. And actually, she said, he's got a personality that's all about war. No, and my personality actually is all about stopping wars. And it seems to work. It seems to work. But it also means this name change and our attitude that we're not going to go into a war, but if we do, we're going to win that war like nobody has ever won a war before. We will not be politically correct, but we're not going to be there. And I think, you know, as you mentioned, Bibi, before, peace through strength, and that's what it's all about. The United States has the greatest and most powerful military in the, right now, history of the world. I can tell you we have weapons that nobody's ever dreamt of. I only hope we never have to use them. I rebuilt the military. I was proud to do it, but some of the things I hated to do. I hated certain of the weapons because the level of power is so enormous. It's so dangerous, so bad. But we have to do what we have to do. We make the best weapons in the world, and we've got a lot of them. And we've given a lot to Israel, frankly. And the Simchat Torah holiday, thousands of innocent Israeli civilians were attacked by terrorists, and one of the most evil and heinous desecrations of innocent life the world has ever seen, the worst slaughter of Jews since the Holocaust. The cruelty of October 7th struck to the core of humanity itself. Nobody could believe what they were witnessing. The United States of America grieved alongside you, and we mourned for our own citizens who were so viciously taken that day. And to all the families whose lives were forever changed by the atrocities of that day, and all of the people of Israel, please know that America joins you in those two everlasting vows: never forget and never again. From October 7th until this week, Israel has been a nation at war, enduring burdens that only a proud and faithful people could withstand. It was a very tough period of time. For so many families across this land, it has been years since you've known a single day of true peace. But now at last, not only for Israelis, but also for Palestinians and for many others, the long and painful nightmare is finally over. And as the dust settles, the smoke fades, the debris is removed, and the ashes cleaned from the air, the day that breaks on a region transformed, and a beautiful and much brighter future appears suddenly within your reach. This is now a very exciting time for Israel and for the entire Middle East, because all across the Middle East, the forces of chaos, terror, and ruin that have plagued the region for decades now stand weakened, isolated, and totally defeated. A new coalition of proud and responsible nations is emerging, and because of us, the enemies of all civilization are in retreat. Thanks to the bravery and incredible skill guy's central casting. Let's put him in a movie. Look at him. Great job. And my people loved working with you. Loved it. They worked so well together. But many of Iran's top terrorists, including nuclear scientists and commanders, have been extinguished from this earth. And with Operation Midnight Hammer, boy, that's a great name for that, what we did.
Hey, what's up, Juan? How you doing?
The United States military flew 7 of those beautiful B-2 bombers. They look so beautiful all of a sudden. They were always, I thought they were pretty planes. I had no idea they could do what they did. In fact, we just ordered 28 more of them. A little updated version. We ordered a whole pile of them. And almost 100 other planes went with them, including fighter jets. And we had 52 tankers, big, beautiful, brand new tankers that were loading them up 4 or 5 times. They've traveled 37 hours back and forth. Think of that. But we had tankers all over the sky for all the other planes. We had the F-22s, the F-35s, F-16s. We had a hell of a lot of planes. So we had 52 gas stations in the sky. That's what they call them. I'll tell you, I wouldn't want to be flying one of them. We have our great General Raisin Cain right here. General, stand up. This guy, what a general. Thank you. I asked General Cain, I said, you know, we're having problems with ISIS, and I was in Washington, and I asked, how long would it take to defeat ISIS? And my Washington generals told me, 3, 4, maybe 5 years, sir. I said, I don't get it. We got the best equipment in the world. Why? So I flew to Iraq, and I met with a man named Cain. He said, what's your first name? He said, they call me Raisin, sir. I said, wait a minute, your name is Raisin Cain? I've been looking for you for a long time. You gotta be kidding. So they told me 3, 4, 5 years to defeat ISIS. And I sit down with him and I say, why is it? I flew there in the dark of night. I landed, I'll never forget it. It was quite a trip. I'm glad I made it because I met him. I said, could I ask you, General? I come down, he's standing with another general and a sergeant. Everybody was like central casting. They could go into a movie right now. Between him and you guys over here, we could get rich making movies, okay? And they got along so great. That's the beautiful thing, that your military and our military, BB, got along so great. But I was told by the television generals in Washington, we have the best equipment in the world. Why is it taking so long? And they said, 4 years. I said, so let me ask you, Raisin, how long would it take you to defeat ISIS? Sir, we can do it in 3 weeks, but you'll probably have some time left over. I said, you gotta be kidding. What the hell are you talking about? They said 4 years. I said, well, sir, look, it's not my place to say, but you're asking me the question. What you have to do is you hit him from the west, you hit him from the north, you hit him from the south, you hit him above, you hit him below. I said, so why didn't they do it? And he didn't want to speak badly of his superiors, which is hard to believe they were his superiors. Should have been the other way around a long time ago, because he's the one that did Operation Hammer. It was flawless. It was flawless. It was absolutely flawless. And I said, so you really think you can do it in 4 weeks? Yes, sir, 100%. You have to do it differently than they were doing it. They were using one base, and it was hundreds of miles away. And he says, we have all these portable bases all over the Middle East. And they didn't want to use them because they didn't want to offend the country where the portable, they wouldn't have even known what the hell the planes were going up, right? They wouldn't have known, but he said, no, they didn't want to defend anybody, offend anybody, but we can do it in 4 weeks. I said, you sure about that? I'm going to call you back. I'll call you back on Monday. I'm going back to Washington. But you think 4 weeks? Yes, sir, I think we can do it in 4 weeks. We'll have time left over. So I call him on Monday. I said, you think you can do it? 4 weeks. I said, go ahead and do it. He did it. I'll tell you, he did it in 4 weeks, less than 4 weeks. So, General, stand up, please. Again, this is a real general. This is not a television general. He doesn't want to go on television. He doesn't want to go on television. I said the other guys love being on television. So we dropped 14 bombs on Iran's key nuclear facilities, totally, as I said originally, obliterating them. And that's been confirmed, and everybody understands it. Together we stopped the #1 state sponsor of terror from obtaining the world's most dangerous weapons. And if you think about it, if we didn't do that, and assuming we made the same deal that we have today, there'd be a dark cloud over this deal. And #1, it wouldn't happen because the other Arab and Muslim nations really wouldn't feel comfortable making the deal that we have now, right? if Iran had that nuclear weapon that they were about 2 months away from having. They would have had it in 2 months or maybe less than that. They were right at, this was our last shot. They looked at it for 22 years. This was our last shot. The pilots told me that. They said, 22 years, sir. They looked at it. Our predecessors looked, they studied it. 3 times a year would do drills on that exact attack. And boy, did they get it right. But let's assume they didn't, and let's assume there was large-scale nuclear weapons in the hands of Iran. We couldn't be here today, even if we signed the deal, which we couldn't do because a lot of people would not.
Chad, I'm gonna go over here. We're going to see, because Brad say Palestinian prisoners being released. Israel is releasing the Palestinian prisoners as we speak. So I'm gonna go over here for a quick second, then we're gonna come back to the speech.
A bit of a piece of the cake. This is unacceptable. And so I think Palestinians, you know, what we're demanding.
So Brad, they're releasing, the Palestinians have been released right now by Israel.
And I think a lot of the
That's good
people
news.
we receive will all tell you
We'll
this.
go back to
Like,
Donald
we
Trump
want to
in
be
a hot
represented collectively
huge
by
news.
you know, a unified
Nearly
movement.
2,000
And so it's not
Palestinian
for the
prisoners
US, it's not
are
for
being
Israel,
released
it's not for the
as part of the
international community
ceasefire
to
agreement.
decide who
There you go,
represents the
guys, right
Palestinians,
there.
who sits or not at the table, who's a good Palestinian and a bad
Okay,
Palestinian.
what is Israel going to do? Is Israel going to release
Palestinian prisoners
Palestinians?
detained from
Where it's
Gaza have
done.
endured
2,000
unspeakable conditions in
Palestinians
Israeli
released.
jails where they were held without charge for more than 2 years.
That's
Here's
great.
a harrowing account from
So
one
we're
of
going to go back over here. Wait. There they go. 2,000 Palestinians have been released. Chat. There you go. 2,000. That's great.
Not want to have anything to do with it. We took a big cloud off of the Middle East and off of Israel. And it was my honor to help. But isn't it true though that, can you imagine the same? Let's assume, Bibi, the same documents, we had everything the same, but you had somebody out there that was, in the opinion of everybody, all powerful in the Middle East. They took a big hit, didn't they? Didn't they take a big hit? Boy, oh boy. They got hit from one side, from the other. And you know, it would be great if we could make a peace deal with them. And I think that's big. Would you be happy with that? Wouldn't it be nice, I think? Because I think they want to. I think they're tired. Somebody said, sir, they're starting their nuclear program again. I said, let me tell you something. They're not starting anything. They want to survive. The last thing they want to do is start digging holes again in mountains that just got blown up and start. They're not doing this. They want to survive, okay? But I think we have a chance. Steve, you, and I think Jared, come on, I'll call you back for another one. We always bring Jared when we want to get that deal closed. We bring Jared, but Steve, you and Jared and the general and Pete and Marco, you'll get that deal done easy. I think that'll be easy. But first, we have to get Russia done. We got to get that one done. If you don't mind, Steve, let's focus on Russia.
Got a good year.
We'll get it done. So Israel, with our help, has won all that they can by force of arms. You've won. I mean, you've won. Now it's time to translate these victories against terrorists on the battlefield into the ultimate prize of peace and prosperity for the entire Middle East. It's about time you were able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. But I liked what you all said. It could be worse. Supposing on top of it, I didn't like what you said. That would be no good, Ron, would it? Ron, you did a great job, by the way, Ron.
Man, them boys showing their rifles and everything. Man, that phase 2 gonna be hard. Wow.
So I'm going to be meeting, actually, in a little while, I'm going to be meeting with the most powerful, the richest nations, really, in the world. Although now, with the tariffs, the United States is by far the richest nation in the world, as you probably have been reading. But the richest nations, most powerful nations, you know, tremendous, headed by some tremendous people in many cases. Some cases I wouldn't say necessarily I would endorse. But I will tell you, some incredible people that really helped us make this all possible. So I'll be going there. I'll be quite late. They might not be there by the time I get there. But we're going to give it a shot. But the journey we started back then led to the crushing defeat of the ISIS caliphate, to the monumental Abraham Accords, and ultimately to the historic ceasefire this week, in which many of those same nations really played a very pivotal role, I have to tell you. Steve will tell you that. Jared will tell you that. Together, we've shown that peace is not just a hope that we can dream about. It's a reality we can build upon day by day, person by person, and nation by nation. And because of that, the Middle East is finally ready to embrace its extraordinary potential. You have extraordinary potential in this region. It should now be clear to everyone throughout the region that decades of fomenting terrorism and extremism, jihadism and anti-Semitism have not worked. They haven't worked. They've been a disaster. They've just killed. They've killed. They've backfired completely and totally. They've just totally backfired. Everything that you thought, take it worst case, it's turned out to be worse than that. They have not worked. From Gaza to Iran, those bitter hatreds have delivered nothing but misery, suffering, failure, and death. They've served not to weaken Israel, but to annihilate the very forces that did the most to foment this hatred. And it's really, I mean, everybody that's tried it has become irrelevant. Meanwhile, we've seen those nations that set aside their differences, reached across ancient divides, and pursued engagement are now among the most successful in the region. They're getting along with Israel, and they're doing great. And I can tell you the 4 nations that joined the Abraham Accords early on, and you'd all be doing me a favor, and I'm going to be saying this in a little while to some other friends, would love you all to, is this right, Jared? Join up in the Abraham Accords. We have to join up and get together. You can have that whole thing filled out. We had a very weak administration, worst president in the history of our country by far. And Barack Obama was not far behind, by the way. And they did nothing with this incredible document, the Abraham Accords, but now you can fill them up. Now you have peace, you have people that really like Israel. I'll tell you what, and they like Israel a lot more today than they did even 5 weeks ago. Like, you've made a lot of, you've come back you've come back strong, because it was getting to be a little nasty out there in the world, and ultimately the world wins. You can't beat the world. Or I would say to Bibi, Bibi, it's now time, and he understood it better than anybody, because ultimately, you know, the world's a very big place, and I've said a lot. I said, but the world is loving Israel again, and I said to Bibi, you know, the world is big and it's strong. And Ron, ultimately, the world wins. And we don't have to worry about that now. But there was getting to be a period of time over the last few months, you know, the world wanted peace, and it could not be more clear. This is their chance to turn forever from the path of terror and violence. It's been extreme, to exile the wicked forces of hate that are in their midst. And I think that's going to happen. I've met some people over the last couple of months that want to see it happen very much. And after tremendous pain and death and hardship, now is the time to concentrate on building their people up instead of trying to tear Israel down. We don't want that to happen again. And the total focus of Gazans must be on restoring the fundamentals of stability, safety, dignity, and economic development, so they can finally have the better life that their children really do deserve after all these decades of horror. I intend to be a partner in this effort, in the sense that we're going to help, and we're going to do something that became unbelievably popular. Everybody wants to be on it. It's called the Board of Peace, okay? How about that? Is that a beautiful name? Like a board of peace.
Board of Peace.
The only bad thing from my standpoint, every single nation involved has asked me to be the chair.
Look at BB.
And I'll tell you, I'm very busy. I didn't count on that. But you know what? If we do it, we'll do it right. And we have unbelievable power and wealth, because you're going to need wealth. You're going to need wealth to rebuild things. And they have wealth like few people have wealth. I want to thank the Arab and Muslim nations for their commitment that they've made to support a safe rebuilding of Gaza and beyond. I have many Arab countries, very wealthy countries, that came up and said, we'll put up tremendous amounts of money to get rebuild Gaza. And I think that's going to happen. The power, they want dignity, they want to come forward, and they want to say, and I want to say who they are, because what they're doing is going to be, I think, something that you're going to be very impressed with, Bibi. And you need that. You need the kind of economic power that they have, and they want to see it work. And they want to see it be safe. And they want to see it be good for Israel, too. And as much money as it will be, and it's a lot, as you can see, it's a lot. For these countries, it's relatively little relative to their worth. It's really a lot of money like most people could never even conceive. But for these countries, it's not that much, especially because it ensures success and stability in the Middle East.
Did y'all hear that chat? I'm finna rewind that. Pay attention.
Which is what they want to see. So many of them will be, they want to come forward, and they want to say, and I want to say who they are, because few people have wealth. I want to thank the Arab and Muslim nations for their commitment that they've made to support a safe rebuilding of Gaza and beyond. I have many Arab countries, very wealthy countries, that came up and said, we'll put up tremendous amounts of money to get rebuild
Listen, chat.
Gaza. And I think that's going to happen. The power, they want dignity, they want to come forward, and they want to say, and I want to say who they are, because what they're doing is going to be, I think, something that you're going to be very impressed with, Bibi. And you need that. You need the kind of economic power that they have, and they want to see it work. And they want to see it be safe, and they want to see it be good for Israel, too. And as much money as it will be, and it's a lot.
Listen.
As you can see, it's a lot. For these countries, it's relatively little relative to their worth. It's really
It
a
is.
lot of money like most people could never even conceive. But for these countries, it's not that much, especially because it ensures success and stability in the Middle East, which is what they want to see. So
There
many
you
of
go.
them will be with us in Egypt in a little while,
There you
I
go,
think.
Chad.
I'm not sure. They may be gone. They may have taken their Boeing 747s and left. I said, what kind of a plane do you fly? 747. I said, that's a large plane. No, they may have. Steve, do you think they've left on their their brand new Boeing 747s? Or, I don't know. We're going to find out soon. It's going to be a big story. There'll be 2 people left, and they'll be the 2 poorest ones. But it will be the wealthiest and most powerful group of nations. So the group that we have assembled, that's waiting for us, is the wealthiest and most powerful group ever assembled at one time. There has never been a group like this. And they're only looking for good. They want good. They're going to do good. And as those commitments are made, I'm going to let the world know who's doing it, because they really deserve to get the credit. And some of them probably won't want the credit, but they deserve it. It's more obvious than ever that the productive and responsible nations of this region should not be enemies or adversaries. You should be partners and eventually even friends, and that's what's going to happen. I know it. Together you can stand against the forces of chaos. Yeah, you go ahead. That's an important point. Because you can stand against the forces of chaos that threatened all of your interests, and it's always a big threat, and unleash incredible prosperity and opportunity for all the people of these lands, and that's what's going to happen. You're going to unleash numbers and success, the likes of which Israel has never been able to think of, because you're so firm, and you should be, and you've done the right thing in defending yourself. You're not going to have to worry so much about it. You've won, and now you can build, and you can do things that you never even thought possible. When you put that genius into doing something else, it's going to be something it's going to be a miracle. The miracle in the desert, it's going to be amazing. And it already is in a true sense. But it'll be wonderful when you can spend time thinking about other than war and defense and offense also. To that end, it's my firm hope and dream, frankly, that together the Abraham Accords will turn out to be everything that we thought they would. Those 4 countries were very, very brave in doing it. They did it at a very early point, and every single one of them benefits unbelievably financially. And if you noticed, even in this bad period that we just went through, they all remained a member of the Abraham Accords. They've done unbelievably well. And you know who you are, and I want to thank you. And they've stayed because of loyalty, but they've also stayed because it was really good business. They've made a lot of money being members, and you're going to all, I hope that every one of the countries that we're seeking, Jared, I hope they join quickly. No games, no nothing. Just join, get it. It's going to be a great peacemaker. It's really going to bring it together beyond anybody's wildest dream. So instead of building fortresses to keep enemies at bay, the nations of this region should be building infrastructure to weave your commerce closer together, because you've got to compete with the big world out there in commerce now. It's a different kind of competition. Instead of making weapons and missiles, the wealth of this region should flow to schools and medicine, industry, and frankly, the new hot thing, artificial intelligence. It's a lot of intelligence you're going to have to be throwing off to pay back these sums of money that they're doing. But that's really the hot one. And I might say that the United States, a year ago, was a dead country. I say it to people. I heard it first from the King of Saudi Arabia. I then heard it from UAE. I heard it from Qatar. I heard it from many other countries. A year ago, the United States of America was a dead country. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. It is the hottest. There's no question about it. In fact, if you go back a year ago, before the election, although once we had November 5th, we became hot because people got it. I would say November 5th was a time that we became really hot. But once you go back a couple of years, if I were in charge and the country was doing what they were, nobody was going to ask me to speak. Nobody asked Joe Biden to come up and speak, I guarantee you that. And if they did, he would have turned them down, I promise you. He didn't speak. He didn't speak, and he didn't speak well. But all of the countries in the Middle East, it could have, what we're doing now, it could have happened a long time ago, but it was strangled and set back almost irretrievably by the administrations of Barack Obama and then Joe Biden. It was, there was a hatred toward Israel. There was an absolute hatred. The setbacks really started when President Obama signed the Iran nuclear deal. This was a disaster for Israel, and it was a disaster for everyone. And I remember that Bibi Netanyahu came to the United States and worked so hard to try and get Obama not to do that deal. He worked so hard. But it was like talking to a wall. I remember him telling me it was like talking to a wall. They wanted to go with Iran. They chose Iran, frankly, over a lot of other good nations, but specifically Israel. And that was the beginning of a very bad period of time. You had Obama go out, and the Iran nuclear deal turned out to be a disaster. And by the way, even if they said, we don't want to make a deal, I can tell you they want to make a deal. All right, they do. They want to make a deal, and we're going to see if we can do something, because this is crazy what's happening, and we're not going to have this anymore. Neither the United States nor Israel bear the people of Iran any hostility. We merely want to live in peace. We don't want any looming threats over our heads, and we don't want to even think in terms of nuclear destruction. It's not going to happen, never will happen. There's nothing that would do more good for this part of the world than for Iran's leaders to renounce terror, stop threatening their neighbors, quit funding their militant proxies, and finally recognize Israel's right to existence. They have to do that. They have to do that. And to Iran, and as you know, this is not said out of weakness. There's no weakness. But I'm going to say this, that we are ready when you are, and it will be the best decision that Iran has ever made. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And they're good people. I know a lot of Iranians in the United States. They're good people, smart, hardworking people. They don't want to see what's happened to their country. The story of fierce Israeli resolve and triumph since October 7th should be proof to the entire world that those who seek to destroy this nation are doomed to bitter failure. The state of Israel is strong, and it will live and thrive and have one of the most innovative economies on earth. Those are just a few of the reasons why I'm proud to be the best friend that Israel has ever had, and they all say it in the White House. They all say it. I guess it's true because everybody says it, baby. You said it today. Thank you. But as president, I terminated the disastrous Iran nuclear deal, and ultimately I terminated Iran's nuclear program with things called B-2 bombers. It was swift, and it was accurate, and it was a military beauty. I authorized the spending of billions of dollars, which went to Israel's defense, as you know. And after years of adorned with their sacred sites and alive with...
Hamdis, you just pointed something out. This is the reason why I love the chat. There's no U.S. flag on this podium, guys. Wow. Hamdi just pointed that out. There's no U.S. flag on this podium, guys.
They're pilgrims and visitors from every corner of the globe.
Wow.
But here between the Western Wall, the Temple Mount, and the hill called Calvary, people of every faith and background live, work, pray, serve, and raise their families side by side, and they do it with love. This example is just one of the modern miracles that Israel has given to the world. And just in closing, the leaders in this chamber know better than anyone else the challenges of this harmony, and it's been easily won.
That's crazy.
No, it hasn't. It has not been. It's been so tough, but it has been, some say, a miracle. What you've done is a miracle. Look at your size. Look at your chances when it all started. And you know, if you think about it, you are safer today, stronger today, and more respected today than at any time in the history of Israel. Think of it. People used to say it wouldn't exist. They don't say that anymore, do they? Yet if safety, security, and coexistence can thrive here in the winding alleys and ancient paths of Jerusalem, then surely peace and respect can flourish among the nations of the broader Middle East. The God who once dwelled among his people in this city still calls us, in the words of Scripture, the turn from evil and do good, to seek peace and pursue it. So he still whispers truth into the hills and knolls and valleys of his magnificent creation, and he still writes hope into the hearts of his children all over the world. And that is why even after 3,000 years of pain and conflict, the people of Israel have never given up from the threats of Zionism, from all sorts of threats. You want the promise of Zion. You want the promise of success and hope and love and God. And the people of America have never lost faith in the promise of a great and blessed future for all of us. From the very first day that modern Israel was founded, we have stood together through thick and thin, the thin of setbacks, and through victory and defeat, through glory and heartache. We have built industries together. We have made discoveries together. We have confronted evil together, and we have waged war together. And perhaps most beautifully of all, we have made peace together. And this week, against all odds, we have done the impossible and brought our hostages home. So now we're going to forge a future that is worthy of our heritage. We're going to build a legacy that all the people of this region can be proud of. New bonds of friendship, cooperation, and commerce will join Tel Aviv to Dubai, Haifa to Beirut, Jerusalem to Damascus, and from Israel to Egypt, from Saudi Arabia to Qatar, from India to Pakistan, from Indonesia to Iraq, from Syria to Bahrain, Turkey to Jordan, the United Arab Emirates to Oman, and Armenia to Azerbaijan, another war that I just settled. We are going to have hope, harmony, opportunity, and happiness here in the spiritual and geographic center of the entire world. That's what you are. Israel, America, and all of the nations of the Middle East will soon be safer, stronger, greater, and more prosperous than ever before. And I want to thank you all once again for this exceptional honor. This has been truly an honor. It's seldom that a president is invited to do this. And I love Israel. I'm with you all the way. You will be bigger, better, stronger, and more loving than ever before. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. And God bless the Middle East. Thank you, everybody.
Well, right now, guys, let me cut this off. Right now, we got Trump in Egypt meeting with the world leaders. We're going to check this out a little bit next. Of course, you know what they're talking about. They're talking about rebuilding Gaza. So the question is, as an investor, what companies could we invest in to be a part of this big wealth transfer that's finna happen? I talk about the wealth transfer just about every day. And this right here, Chad, is the beginning stages of the second phase of the wealth transfer. It's going to be companies, a lot of them that we know, like, and trust. They're going to get these contracts to rebuild Gaza. So this peace summit, even though it might say it's a summit, is really, really, really planning and strategizing on how to rebuild Gaza. That's what it is, guys. So we got to take out our emotional caps and we got to put on our investor caps and figure out how we can get ahead of the game, aka invest in these companies really, really early so we can catch this wave that's going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years. This is a long time process, guys. This is not day trading. This is long-term investing in Gaza, in the Palestinians, in rebuilding this area. So let's see what's going on right here, right now. Appreciate y'all for joining. I am your host, the one only Stock Sniper.
And Islamic countries as well, and the region as a whole wanted peace. They wanted this war to stop. And so he's going to Sharm el-Sheikh to tell them that this is the end of it. And now let's make sure that this time around, it will continue to be peace and that this should be integrated into a larger peace plan where everybody has a stake in it. And I think that's why we don't have as much details as we wish to know. But I think we would be having these details in the coming hours. So what we are looking at is a peace that would be guaranteed supposedly by the United States government. And I think this will depend largely on President Trump's commitment to it.
I'm glad you said the word guarantees. Donald Trump was asked about this on Air Force One. We're seeing it live, but on Air Force One, when he was flying over to Israel, I don't know if you saw that interview, he took questions from the press and he was asked about what guarantees he had been given by Hamas and by Israel. His answer was, I've been given verbal guarantees from both sides. In other words, they have made a promise to me, Donald Trump, and he said, quote, I'm sure they will not want to disappoint me. So in his own telling of it, all of this is hanging on the verbal promises to the U.S. president. What do you make of that?
Well, these are nations leaders and also groups leaders. And so Hamas is guaranteed by Arab nations. And obviously they are the mediators and the ones who brokered this peace, helping Hamas communicate with the United States and Israel. And on the other side, it is the Netanyahu's government that gave promises to President Trump. And I tend to believe him. I think nobody wants to, neither side do not want to disappoint President Trump.
Can I think they will stick to it. Just a second, Mohammed? Sorry, you'll finish that thought, but I just want us to, as I turn my head, I see this, what our viewers are already seeing. Donald Trump is in Egypt. He was greeted by the Egyptian president, Mr. El-Sisi. Let's just take a look. Let's just take a look at this. Okay, he's speaking to the Egyptian president now. Now, he has name-checked Egypt along with Qatar and more recently Turkey. Remember that Egypt and Qatar have been the two active mediators alongside the United States since this war began. So mediators between Hamas and Israel, organizing indirect talks between them, sometimes here in Doha and sometimes there in Cairo. So they have been a key part of this for the last 2 years. Donald Trump has been praising them, the Qataris, the Egyptians, more recently, as I said, the Turks. And he is sort of widening the friend circle recently, saying, well, that this couldn't have been done without the wider region and even European powers. He's trying, it feels like he is trying to give this a broad base of support.
Well, obviously, he wants that Gaza has been leveled down and it has been bombarded continuously for the last 2 years. And it, as in his words, he said it cost quite a bit of money to rebuild Gaza, and that the United States seemingly is unwilling to pay for this. Israel, which should be paying for this, is not willing to pay for this. So he said that there are regional actors in the region, Arab nations, which in his words again, that they are very rich. And
He
to
keeps
them,
talking about their money.
yeah. So he said that these people will be paying for the reconstruction of Gaza. And he looked at Netanyahu and he said, you don't want to pay for that. So I think he needs to talk to these people in a different tone so that he can bring in money. But let's be also clear here that the region is willing to help the Palestinians. And Qatar, Turkey, and Egypt, they want to help the Palestinians. They want peace in Palestine for the Palestinian people. And I think that is in the interest of everybody. And I hope that this would work. And it seems that President Trump is willing to work in that direction. And I hope he would commit to that, because without the United States, nobody can guarantee peace in Gaza.
What you just said is very interesting, because for 2 years, all the people who are involved today, whether it's Egypt, Qatar, European powers, EU institution leaders, United Nations, because the Secretary General is also going to be there. By the way, we see Trump there in the Beast, in his car. He's about to take off for the site of the summit. All these countries have had pretty much the same position for the last 2 years, calling for a ceasefire, calling for the war to end, saying we're here to help diplomatically, financially, rebuild. Their message has been pretty consistent for the last 2 years. And then it flipped, but they didn't have a partner in the U.S. And then all of a sudden, when Donald Trump actually said, I want this to happen, which has just come together in the last few weeks, all of this flipped. And now all of a sudden it looks like this broad international momentum, which it is, but it only became that because Donald Trump decided, I'm making this happen.
Yeah, but he did not decide out of the blue to do this. This is the good work of...
All right, chat, we had 356 votes. I got kind of distracted because I got my investing cap on right now, so I got kind of distracted. 357 votes. What do you want me to do, chat? Stay on Trump? 55% said yes. As see Palestinians released, 45% said no. So I'm gonna end the poll, chat, because that speech was over. And now we here. Appreciate y'all for voting. All 358 people for voting. Thank you. All right, here we go.
To make sure that they can get out of him as much as possible. So, and if he wants to praise himself and his achievements or talk about Nobel Prize, it seems to me that like other nations, including Israel, are dancing on this kind of rhetoric.
Just as we see the convoy pull up to, what does it say, hotel, that clearly is only a few hundred meters away from the landing strip. So they're not far from the site where this whole meeting is taking place. So that meeting is going to be underway, it looks like, very soon. Yeah, there it is. So the Beast should be shortly after that first car in the convoy. And that looks like the Beast right there, carrying the President of the United States. The President of Egypt, of course, is also in the convoy. Who's the one who came to meet Donald Trump at the bottom of Air Force One. All right, looks like we might be... Okay, that meeting is going to get underway. A point about Mahmoud Abbas, President of the Palestinian Authority. He has been invited. He is at the meeting. He is 89.
Appreciate you.
Let's be honest. Nobody thinks he is the future of Palestinian governance. What's going to be their message to him?
Well, I think Israel has already said something about that. They wanted reforms in the Palestinian Authority. They accused the Palestinian Authority of corruption and other stuff in the past. And now, they don't want to interfere directly in that. But I think also the Palestinian people are looking forward to probably have elections or new leadership. And probably that is one of the sticking points why the PA is not involved in the future of Gaza. But again, I think statements coming out of President Sarkozy are very, very clear that why do we have to create new structures of governance in Gaza while we have a Palestinian Authority? Because if we have new structures, that would become probably later permanent, this would be also another hurdle for any unification of Palestinians or a viable Palestinian state. So I can foresee in advance where this is going, and probably Europeans would be pushing for the Palestinian Authority to be involved, and at the same time they might have to reform so that they can become part of the future Palestinian state or the road or the initiative towards that goal.
Yeah, everybody's saying that the Palestinian Authority needs to reform, and everybody's been saying this. When I say everybody, I mean everybody. I can't think of a single country that hasn't said, ultimately, this will end with a reformed Palestinian Authority governing both the West Bank and Gaza. So those are the latest pictures that we have. The U.S. president, the Egyptian president, and they're now on their way to the site of this summit. 3-4 hours late, but as our reporter Mohammed Jamjoom was telling us, all of this has come together very last minute. It's called the Peace Summit, and you might have seen one of those posters there on the previous shots. Welcome to Egypt, the land of peace. So everybody's talking about peace today, right? Donald Trump selling himself as a peacemaker, saying this would be, if it sticks, the 8th war that he has ended. The Israelis presenting themselves as peacemakers after 2 years of war and killing 67,000 Palestinians, including 20,000 children. I mean, I have to say it. And the Egyptians, along with multiple other... Oh, there you go. Welcome to the land of peace, Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. We don't know much, if anything, about this future governance of the Gaza Strip that is supposed to be set up. Have you heard anything?
Well, nothing yet, but I also hear the President Trump on Air Force One when he was asked about the future, if former British Prime Minister Tony Blair would be involved in any governance in Gaza, he said we would have to wait to see if he would be popular enough. So it seems there is nothing set.
Yeah, he expressed doubt for the first time.
Yeah, for the first time. So he's. I think this also signals that these are still the issues are being negotiated, and that they will reach a conclusion at some point. So I think what we heard say a week ago when the initiative came out is still being negotiated. And I think it has been negotiated over and over and over. And there is some kind of initial agreement that will be inked in Sharm el-Sheikh, or at least confirmed. And then they will work on a plan to develop this into concrete steps on the ground. We have already seen the biggest step on the ground, which is the release of the captives, and then in return the release of some Palestinians. And I think that was the major sticking point. Now, Hamas does not have much to hold on its side. They only have now the guarantees that they have brought to them by the mediators, such as the state of Qatar and Egypt, and the word of President Trump. So Hamas does not have the captives anymore. They don't have probably they only have the bodies, some of the bodies that are left. But then what else? What are their negotiations?
Well, they're supposed to release those bodies now.
They have to release that as well. And so what we are looking at is the next phase is purely political. It would be about the future of Gaza, disarmament of Hamas, and if that would happen at all.
So that's what I was going to ask you. That's supposed to be the next step, right? The ceasefire holds, the Israeli captives, the living Israeli captives have been released. The dead Israeli captives are supposed to be released either today or tomorrow or next few days. Mm-hmm. The Palestinian prisoners have been sent back to the West Bank or to Gaza. That was step one. The step immediately after that involves Hamas disarming. They have not committed to disarming.
Not yet, but also Israel would have to withdraw its forces.
Proportional to the disarmament of Hamas. That's what it says in the plan.
Yes, but how would that be implemented on the ground? I think the technicalities of it are not yet clear. So, for example, who's going to disarm them? Who's going to take the weapons from them? Where these weapons will be taken? Who's going to monitor that? Would these weapons go to the Palestinian Authority, or would they go to the new police force? How this will be done? What about the fighters when they come out of the underground? Where would they go? Would they be going to a hosting country? Which countries are going to host them?
So the plan says if they commit to peace, Hamas fighters, they could be amnestied. They would be amnestied. And if they don't commit to peace, they have to leave.
Well, amnesty conditioned with de-radicalization of programs. Who is going to deliver these programs? It's not a blank check amnesty. It will have to be coupled with a de-radicalization program, and that was mentioned in the 20-point peace initiative. So there's so many technical issues. These points are very short and very brief, and if they are to be implemented on the ground, this will take a lot of details.
What's the format for working out these details now? I mean, who's going to be driving this?
I think they're taking it step by step. So the first step is to release the captives. Probably disarmament would come at a later stage. And I think they said that this will be negotiated. Even the withdrawal of the Israeli forces will be negotiated. It would be phased, and it would be monitored, and that every space of Gaza that would be left, it would have to be filled out by some sort of a force, either international peace force or local force. And also they mentioned that Palestinian local police would be trained to control the ground and enforce the laws. But which force and which police are we talking about? Is it the former Hamas police, or is it Palestinian Authority, or are we going to train a new police, and who's going to train them?
Egypt and Jordan are supposed to train them.
Well, supposedly, but if they are they going to be part of the peace force? And who's going to be organizing that?
I'm reading the plan that we have, and you're pointing out all the numerous areas of the gray areas that lie within those words, because we're both working off the same document. But you're absolutely right, of course. There is what is set out is some pretty broad principles in many cases. We know what the general architecture is. There's supposed to be a Palestinian transitional body overseen by world leaders. Donald Trump is one of them. We don't know who the others are. There's supposed to be an international security force, essentially acting as Palestinian police for a while. And then if and when all of this is completed, and who knows how long that would take, then there would be a new Palestinian government.
Yeah, which government are we talking about? Palestinian Authority?
Yeah, once again,
or is
the
it
gray
Gaza
areas.
Authority?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what is the relationship between Gaza Authority and the Palestinian Authority in terms of a future viable state for the Palestinians? So I think these details are being worked out as we speak, and I think they will be negotiated and renegotiated in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, Mohamed, look, you've got perfect timing, by the way. All right, Donald Trump has just arrived at the site where the summit is being held at a Red Sea resort in Sharm el-Sheikh. Okay, he was greeted by the Egyptian president, and as we said, more than 20 world leaders are waiting for him. The leaders of Canada, France, Italy, Spain, Qatar, Turkey. Egypt, of course, is the host. I'm going to forget many. But the point is that we have 20 to 30 countries who are putting their weight behind this. This is really quite significant. I don't know, you would know better than me, but if you compare this to previous serious efforts at peace between Israelis and Palestinians, do you recall one? The most serious was Oslo, I think we can agree, in the early 90s. Do you recall, did Oslo have more international backing than this?
I think it was different. But what we are looking at here are countries not only vying for peace, they want to stop this genocide. You know, the international public all over the world has been watching a genocide, and especially now we are in a digital age where we watch everything live. We have been watching a live genocide everywhere, from everywhere, going on in Gaza. And I think countries, they want to have a stop to this, and they want to end this altogether. And I think the rhetoric coming out of the White House, Arab states, Europeans, especially Spain, for example, they want this to stop, and I think they want a solution, a permanent solution for the Palestinians. And that's why they are standing behind it. There are very few instances in history where so many countries and so many world leaders have convened so quickly in a remote place to sit with the President of the United States, Israel, Palestinians, and Arab states, hoping that there will be a permanent solution for the tragedy of the Palestinian people.
Yeah, just look at all the flags. And that tells us some of the countries I forgot to mention. Pakistan is there. The UK, of course, is there. Germany is there. The UN is there. More than 20 countries, as we said. All right, we're watching that live. Cameras already on the podium. We do not know, to be honest, if that means that Donald Trump will walk up within moments, or does that mean, does he first need to have meetings, whether bilateral or whether in a wider setting with other world leaders? We are not sure. Family members of the Palestinian prisoners whom Israel is forcing into exile have spoken about the moment that they were told of the fate of their loved ones. Listen to this.
The news of his release came like a thunderbolt. The entire family, including his wife and sisters, came to see him. We were then told he will be exiled. We are standing here in shock, in agony. We don't know where he would go.
We were told by an intelligence officer not to celebrate. Otherwise, they would ruin our joy. What is important for us is to have our brother released, even though he's being exiled.
Al Jazeera correspondent Nida Ibrahim joins us on set. Nida, you've been covering this war since day one. Every day for the last 2 years, you've been working on this. And now we are waiting for a speech from the U.S. president in Egypt. Obviously, earlier he spoke in Israel. There's been a ceasefire for 48 hours. We can't be 100% sure, but this could be the beginning of the permanent end of the war. How do you look at this, and what does your instinct tell you at this point?
Well, it's hard to be hopeful without remembering Israel's behavior in the past. And I don't just mean in this war. I mean before that, with Israel avoiding all signed agreements, including the ones it signed with the Palestinian Authority, with the Palestinian Liberation Organization back in 1990s, and then trying to avoid committing to each and every commitment under international law. We've seen a country that has been allowed by so many countries, including the U.S., to breach international law in Gaza, use AI to bombard civilians, use the telecommunications to just know where the person is and then bombard them, even if that means collateral damage, so be it.
Which it did. 83% of the people killed in Gaza were civilians.
According to so many UN and respected organizations. Yet, it's hard to stay pessimistic on a day like this when you see.
How y'all doing, chat? We got over 300 people in the chat. How y'all doing today? On Monday, y'all having a good day? How y'all doing, chat?
We're seen as allies to Israel for a long time, adopting the Israeli narrative, deciding to recognize Palestine as a state because they've seen their public and their protesters inside their countries talking about enough is enough when we talk about allowing Israel to continue with its genocide. So this is where the hope lies, that there would be international pressure by the people on their governments and by these governments to try and put a limit to how much Israel has been breaching international law and getting away with it.
And by the way, I know that I sidetracked you because you were also coming on to talk about the prisoners, something that you've worked on a lot. We saw 1,700 Palestinian detainees be released back to Gaza. We just heard earlier in this program what some of their, well, we heard two things, what some of their families have been saying and what they have been saying.
And before we started talking, I don't know if you remember Ibtisam and what she said. She's a sister of a Palestinian detainee who was supposed to be released to Ramallah. But then this morning, when the final lists came out from Hamas, she realized he's going to be exiled, meaning she won't be able to see him. In this interview we've just aired, she talks about her feelings, her devastation when she learned that she's not going to see him. I've been seeing more pictures of Ibtisam saying, even when the buses came out, she went and checked each and every prisoner to make sure.
Nida, pause for a quick second. Look at what we have right now.
Here we go.
Donald Trump and the Egyptian president.
Here we go, chat.
A friend of mine is a very powerful leader, and my friend is right here, the president, also the general, you know. Sometimes I call him, usually I call him the general because he's both, and he's good at both. And they've done a fantastic job, and they have very little crime.
You're welcome, Tina.
Because they don't play games.
Look,
That's
and be
why.
blessed.
They don't play games.
Let's start
like we do
TV.
in the United
Yes, I'm
States.
blessed.
With governors that have no idea what they're doing.
Okay, I'm gonna, we gotta listen now.
I asked
The chat,
about
we want me to
crimes.
shut up.
They almost don't even know
Gotta
what
be
I'm talking
quiet now,
about.
guys.
So it's a great tribute to this man. He's done a fantastic job in bringing this country together, and the United States is with him all the way. Thank you. Okay, all the way, and it's an honor to be with you.
Sir, what will Egypt's role play in the peace process here?
He played a very important role, and they had a very important role with Hamas. In fact, the general was right here, was very instrumental because Hamas respects this country and they respect the leadership of Egypt. So he played a very important role. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Thank you.
President Trump, in Israel just now, you were talking about a possible Iran peace deal. You said, we are ready when you are. Yeah. Is that the ultimate goal with today's signing, to get enough?
Not Iran, but I think Iran will come along. They've been battered and bruised, and, you know.
Great pointing it out, Jonathan Davis. We see the flag now.
Tremendous sanctions. I'd love to take the sanctions off when they're ready to talk. But they can't really survive with those sanctions. Those sanctions are very tough. But at some point, they're going to say, we want the sanctions off. We're going to end up with peace. I think Iran is going to be fine. I know so many Iranian people. They're great people. They're smart, great, great people. Engineers, lawyers. I mean, they're academics. But they took a big hit. And frankly, if we didn't hit them on the nuclear, I don't think you would have been able to have this incredible, this deal, this once-in-a-lifetime deal. Nobody's ever seen anything like what's happening today. And countries have all come together, all different countries. Some liked each other, some didn't, most didn't. And they've all come together. Every country has come together. And by the way, Iran did put out a statement, you know, that they support this deal very wholeheartedly. So that was in itself something. But no, I think they want to, that's all I do in my life. I make deals. And they want to make a deal.
President Trump. Hostages have been returned. Can you please tell us what the next steps are?
Well, they're going and looking for bodies. It's a pretty gruesome task. And they know where numerous are, as you know. I guess 5 or 6 are in yet now. But they're looking for bodies. They know the areas, and the search parties out, and they're doing it in conjunction with Israel. And they're going to be finding quite a few of them.
President Trump, can you tell us when phase 2 of the negotiations will begin?
Well, it started. I mean, it started as far as we're concerned. Phase 2 has started. And, you know, the phases are all a little bit mixed in with each other. They're going to start cleaning up. You look at Gaza, and it needs a lot of cleanup. That's why when I talked in my speech, I talked about the debris. I used the word debris. That's debris times 10. So, but they're gonna really do a job. They have a lot of power. In another room, you have the wealthiest, some of the wealthiest nations in the world. All leaders, the big leaders are here. The emirs and the kings and everybody, and it's a very interesting group. I guess we have like 35 countries, and that's only because they were the 35 that we invited. Everybody that we invited came. So there's a lot of respect. And I think you'll see some tremendous progress, both in the Middle East. This country is doing very well. It has good leadership. It's about leadership. And it's really nice when you say, how is your crime situation? And they don't even know what you're talking about. What do you mean crime? We don't have crime. Because if he has crime, he puts it out very quickly. Some people think that's not nice, but I think it's great. Because people don't want to be mugged and smashed, and they don't want to be stupid people. They have a place that is doing very well. We're very proud of him because we knew each other from the beginning. The first time I met, it was in a hotel, and I was going to meet him, and then Hillary Clinton was following me. Remember Hillary Clinton? And he liked me so much, he never even got to see Hillary. He saw her for about 2 seconds. But he didn't really want to waste a lot of time. He knew what was going to happen. But that was the first time we met, and we had a very good chemistry together. And it continues till today. So I want to thank you all very much. I appreciate the way you covered this really momentous, I've never seen anything like it. The level of love, the level of respect for what it is, and it's, you know, it's peace in the Middle East, and everybody said it's not possible to do, and it's going to happen, and it is happening. It's before your very eyes, and that's why it's become so fascinating. Marco, do you have anything to say?
Egypt's been a phenomenal participant. I think both Steve and Jared will tell you the critical role they played. They can tell you themselves. They hosted the talks here, and they're going to play a very important role now in the follow-up, the implementation of this, which is really, it's not simply about restoring Gaza, it is about transforming the region. So we have an incredible partner, a long alliance, very capable partner here, and a tremendous collection of leaders. This is clearly, in my mind, I think in the mind of everyone in this room, probably one of the most important days for world peace in 50 years. That's not an exaggeration.
Only 50?
Maybe 100. Certainly since the end of World War II, Mr. President.
Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner, I'm curious, you played such an
Duval, you're absolutely correct. Matter of fact, as you typing that, guess what I was doing, Duval? I'm looking at KBR right now. See, guys, that is what we need to be thinking about. What can we invest in? The beginning stages. And look where KBR is right now. This is just an example, right? But this is how investors think. Shout out to Duval. This is how investors think. We know that this meeting is about a wealth transfer. We know this. So investors like myself, and obviously Duval is an investor, while we're listening to this, I'm catching hints and I'm researching what companies can I find to get the beginning stages and catch this wealth transfer. To catch this wealth transfer. So shout out to Duval, because as you're typing that, guess what I'm doing? I'm Googling, checking out. This is just one example, though. This is not saying, well, that people should go buy KBR right now. That's not what this is. This is an example. And guess what? As this meeting is going on right now, look at this chart, guys, of KBR. This is the bottom part. And just that quick, it's already up 3% right now. So let's go back over here where we were at. Let me go back.
Love working for the president, so it's feels like a very honorable job.
Mr. President, would you like to say something with the interpreter?
Yes. اسمحوا لي في البداية أن أنا أرحب بفخامة الرئيس. أنا سعيد وكل شرف بالوجود في شرم الشيخ مدينة السلام. يسمح لي فخامة الرئيس أن أنا اسمي باسم كل المصريين يمكن حتى وكل محب السلام أوجه لك التحية الأخيرة والاحترام على تحية هذا الإنجاز الرائع والعظيم.
Well, first of all, Your Excellency, I welcome you to
all the Egyptians and all peace-loving people. Salute you with all respect for this great achievement.
Around the world, salute the appreciation and the respect for this unprecedented tremendous accomplishment by your hands.
أنا كنت متأكد فخامة الرئيس أنا كان الوحيد القادر على تحقيق هذا الإنجاز والإنهاء.
I've been very confident that Your Excellency is the only one who's capable.
I was certain, Mr. President, that it is you, only you, who's capable to make this achievement and to end the war.
أنت وحدك القادر على تحقيق السلام في منطقتنا.
I even said that very precisely during my communication with Your Excellency. That you are
During my communication with you, I mentioned this precisely. I told you, only you, is capable of making peace. Once again, I thank you, Mr. President. Now let's proceed with the agreement enforcing the ceasefire, having all the captives released, and unfortunately the remains of the deceased, and also the entry of the relief aid in order to proceed with the remaining phases of the agreement.
And working very closely on following up the rest of steps that should be taken to make this successful.
Mr. President, you did very great. Thank you.
That's very nice. Thank you.
He's a good man. Thank you. He's a good man. We're with him all the way.
Will he be on the Board of Peace, sir?
I'd like to have him on the board. I'd like to. We may need an interpreter, but that's okay.
So long as the President is present, I will be too.
The Board of Peace, I'll be there.
We've had many leaders want to be on the board, actually. The Board of Peace, it's taken on, Steve, I'd say a life of its own. Do you want to discuss that, what's happened?
I think we have a long list of applicants to be on that board.
Everybody wants to be. That's very nice. That's better than the other way. Usually it's the other way. Nobody wants to be on the board. But it's really taken on, this whole thing has taken on a life that's very different. So it's been really a great honor. And you people have done a fantastic job, I want to tell you. We appreciate it very much. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Hold it 1 second. أنا عايز دعم فخامة الرئيس ورعايته معانا في مؤتمر إعادة
I would like Mr. President to be on our side with the reconstruction and rebuilding program.
Thank you. 100%. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you, Brad. You guys, let's go. Thanks, guys. Let's head out.
Hello, I'm Mali.
Well, that's it, guys. Man, this is going to be a huge project. I don't know if y'all remember the rebuilding of Afghanistan, the rebuilding of Iraq. That was a huge, those were two huge projects. If like some people, if you're looking for a job, I know people like when they rebuilt Afghanistan and they rebuilt Iraq, they were hiring like and giving big time bonuses to go over there and work. I know I got some friends that went and worked in Afghanistan on the construction of the rebuilding of the country, and it put them and their family in a whole nother position because they were paying so much money to go over there and go work. Yeah, that's so this is gonna be bigger. This is gonna be bigger, way bigger. So I think that's it for right now, guys. Appreciate y'all for joining me. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Bro, who is this guy? All you gotta do is read. I'm the stock sniper. That's who I am. I'm lying. Man, whatever. Whatever, man. Matter of fact, no negativity. I got to get you out of here. Boom. Now, no negativity. No negativity. Coming here at the end of the show, disrupting. You've been here probably the whole time listening, but not comprehending, and then want to come in with the negativity. That's how I know you ain't, what's going on with you today? Yasan, what's going on? Like, you having a bad day or something? All right, guys, I think that's it. I appreciate y'all for coming through, rocking with me. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. As you know, we got the walk down coming. Hope y'all have a great lunch. Hope y'all have a great day on Monday. Appreciate y'all for rocking with me. And as always, earn, spend less, and invest. It's all good. Big Gavels. It's all good. Appreciate you for coming through. As always, earn, spend less, and invest. To the next one. I'm out.